Welcome back to the Wizard's Shop. It's time for another edition of the Wizard's Yacht. And as Crazy D calls it, the Wizard's Navy. But I don't know that one ship is much of a navy. We've been busy the last few weeks. We've got some updates on the yacht. Let's get started. So first of all, I apologize to you guys for not as much yacht videos lately. Been very busy the last few weeks. I've been filming with Car Trek 3, and also I was at Barrett-Jackson in Scottsdale last weekend, so both of the last few weekends I've been completely just consumed. But now it's time to dig back into the boat. We're getting ready to start putting the Outdrives together so that we can put everything back together on the stern of the boat. I mentioned to you guys that I was going to be bypassing the impeller inside the legs, I guess is what you guys call them, on the Outdrives. I want to show you my plan of action as far as actually on the legs itself. Let's take a look. So this is the lower unit, and over here is the upper unit. They're in half, they slide together, just like this. And inside this little case, which is just like this here, is where the impeller resides. It actually pumps water up through the case and into the stern, through the stern of the boat actually, to cool the engines. And over time, if you don't service them, or actually sometimes if you do service them, they can just haphazardly go from a good, nice star-shaped impeller to this. Just, you can see on the inside of here, it's all melted rubber. It's literally rubber that's been melted to the sides when this thing failed. And when that happens, no more cooling water, your engines overheat. As a car mechanic, and I've been a car mechanic for over 20 years, I personally don't like the idea that the main pump that keeps my engines cool is down in the water in an area that requires me to do a boat pull-out. Every time something goes wrong or to service them, it's almost like pulling your engine every time you need to put an alternator on. No, I'm not going to do that.
That sounds kind of funny there, Carver. You're wearing the Audi shirt and you had that V10 for a while.
Yeah, that's basically the story of the Audis. Every time something was wrong on my S6, it was engine out. Oh, you want to do O2 sensors? Engine out. Oh, you want to do this or that? Engine out. No, that's when that car went away. So I'll go ahead and remove this housing, and you can see that there is an absence of an impeller here. Normally, like here's the burned up impeller. It would sit down on here, and the housing goes over it. But I'm going to not use the new impeller. Here's what I'm going to do with it. No, we're not doing that. What we're going to do is put an empty chamber. There's nothing here. We're going to slide it over with new gaskets. We're going to bolt it down with the proper torque. It's got all new seals. We're going to put all new everything in gaskets and slide the upper and lower unit together with no impeller. And what that's going to allow it to do, if Mrs. Wizard want to bring the camera over here. So kind of the idea is, and I'll pull this back off, right here on the sides of the lower unit is where water comes in. This is the actual water that cools your engines, that runs through the heat exchanger up there. So we'll take this little, I guess a grill or whatever you want to call it, off, set it aside. Water goes into this chamber from both sides of, it's hollow all the way through there. You can see the other side down there. And water goes up in this direction. It gets sucked up through this hole. The impeller would spin here and suck the water up and shoot it up this pipe. Up this pipe into the upper unit, and let me show you where it goes on the upper unit. It'll come up through the upper unit and then through this hole right here. The water goes through the stern to the hoses to the heat exchanger. We are not changing that design as far as water flow. Water will still get sucked through this intake. It'll go through the hollow chamber that no longer houses an impeller, and up through this tube, through the upper unit and through the stern to the heat exchanger. But there will be an electric pump in the hull of the boat that will pull water through all of this and run it through the heat exchanger and back out. The pulling of the water will no longer be done by this impeller. It'll be done by an electric one inside the hull. So if it fails, we're out on the lake and something goes wrong, I can just open the hull, the bilge area where the engines are. I'll have a spare impeller and I can rebuild it right there, get it back together, and we can continue on with our family trip. And when you're supposed to service those at normal intervals, I don't have to pull the whole boat out of the water. I can just open the bilge area, service the impeller, and put it back together and be done. I'm not sure why they designed it this way. Maybe on a smaller boat it's not that big of a deal. You can tilt the outboard up and just work on it. But on a larger boat like this, it's not so easy. I don't plan on doing this ever again. Like I said, it'll be done in the hull, not out here. So that's my plan for cooling the engines without using the impeller and the outdrives, but putting my own impeller in the hull. Let's go check out what Mrs. Wizard's got going on. She's got a lot of things she wants to show you guys. She's got some really cool updates. Let's head on up.
Hey everybody, glad you're back with me. Just as the Wizard's been busy, I've been super busy as well. This remote teaching really stinks, let me tell you, it is tough. And right now I have no clue what's happening. We don't know if we're going to go back to remote, go back into class. It's just a mess. So my normal predictable world is not so predictable anymore. Teaching usually is pretty predictable. Luckily for you guys, I was able to finish the shelf and I got that all wrapped up. So let's take a peek at it. So as you can see, we actually have black granite tiles up here and they're kind of got a bit of a sparkle to them. And people were kind of concerned, oh, they can fly up, they can fly up. No, we have wrapped around board on all sides, put a piece of quarter round up on this side. They're not actually glued down and they're not grouted. Being that they're granite, you don't need to have grout between the lines. And the chance of them, being that they're so small, they're only a 12-inch tile, they're probably not going to break. And if they did, it would be pretty simple to replace. Remove the quarter round and slide more tile in. So it seemed like a pretty easy way, not overly, weight-wise, not overly expensive, but definitely adds a nice bit of elegance to here. Plus, the nice thing about this edge, if we go back and look, Mr. Wizard, you can see that if something is up here and the boat's rocking, this edge is going to keep it from knocking off. So whatever we set up here shouldn't go flying around. Now, mind you, this boat is going to be on a lake in Oklahoma, or at least in the center part of the United States. Its days of being in saltwater on the ocean are pretty well done. Okay, it's a great boat, but it's not going to be making that trip over to the ocean any longer. It's just not feasible for this boat to do that. So we have to think of that and take that into mind when we're designing. So yeah, it could get tossed around on the ocean, but in a lake in the Midwest, not so much. So, having it with this kind of setup should do just fine. The other thing, I actually have to set some mood lighting. So just a second, let me turn off our nice new LED lights. So I know it's kind of dark right now, but just as you guys agreed in the comments on the last video, I did get the LED lights. And so let's go ahead and turn those things on. And you can definitely see it sets a blue. We can change all sorts of different colors. So had it set up, we went ahead and wired it in the forward section in the V-berth area, so I could actually wrap it around both sides. And so it's a little bit brighter on this side because we had a little bit left over and I thought I don't want to take it down. And so I went ahead and actually brought a little bit extra over the area of the kitchenette space. I think it definitely looks really cool. Having the different colors, we can program it. It has a great remote. I can turn down the intensity. I can make it so it's not so bright. I can bring it up. It's all done here. But the really cool thing is, in addition to having this really cool remote, I can also control it from my phone. So that's going to be a fun feature as well. But that'll be nice that we'll be able to not always have the really bright lights, but we can also turn this on as well. Even yet, as it goes around the edges, I even have it to where it flows through because the edging goes across all the way. I can even have it in the bathroom. So it's a really cool little feature. I'm glad you guys suggested that. One thing is I went ahead and turned on the lights for us again because it is awfully dark. You can't see them terribly much. They are on right now. You can't really see them when you have the full LED lights on, but it really does make a difference when it's going to be at night, when we're on the water. We don't have to have these, mega landing strip lights on, which are great right now, but at night, those LEDs are going to be really, really handy. I think the Car Wizard had one more thing to share with you guys. Let's go see what it was.
One last thing I wanted to show you guys on the Outdrive. I forgot to mention this. Pulling water through that will actually keep it cool, but I have heard people mention that even when the water system is functioning properly, the top of the Outdrives will actually get so hot that you can cook an egg on it. When you're under full throttle, going across the lake, the water actually pulls away from the top of the Outdrives right here. And except for the water going through it, there's nothing cooling it, which can get quite hot. To help extend the life of it, I ordered this cool drive from K&B is the name of the company. And basically what it does, I'll show you guys right here. So what looks like an anode or a stabilizer fin that goes on the back of the Outdrive, this goes in place of it. And it's almost like a straw down here. Water moving across here creates pressure and shoots water straight up through this. And then you screw it on. I don't have the other upper half of the Outdrive on here, but you screw it on and holds it into place. And you can see the hole right here. The pressure will spray water up. And let me show you on the upper portion of the Outdrive. This will sit just like this, with this installed on the lower portion. Shoot water up to this plate, and the plate sprays the water all over the top of the Outdrive. Both Outdrives will be getting this kit installed on them. It's kind of just loosely installed for now, just to show you guys what it looks like. But there's no pumps or nothing needed to run this. Just pressure of the water running across it creates a positive pressure pushing water up through the center of this, out the spout, and on top of the Outdrive, the gearbox, the gear case up here, keep it nice and cool. I was thinking about doing a through the hole fitting and running the pump that way, but then that would leave no water whatsoever going through the Outdrive leg. I still want water to go through, like we talked about just a little bit ago, but I'm going to add additional cooling, putting the cool drive on it, which should really extend the life of these things. For however much longer that these things will last, I want to extend that and be as much as possible so I don't have to worry about it. The gears and the bearings and things of that nature are still in good shape on these, and I want to try to keep them that way for as long as I can.
So that's a really good idea, Car Wizard.
Yeah, it's going to do what we can to simplify our operation of this boat. If we have a breakdown with the impeller, it'll be a quick fix, and it doesn't involve pulling the boat out of the water. It still keeps the drives cool, and even additionally so with the cool drive on it. So that'll really help out a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot better. I would hate to have to pull this big behemoth out of the water every time something, goes wrong, just like that old engine in your Audi.
Yeah, I've heard people say every year they pull their boat out of the water and do the impeller service. Unless there's something wrong or I need to do bottom paint, I really don't want to pull the boat out of the water. So this will be a much better alternative.
So what's your plan for the next video?
In the next video, we're actually going to be removing all of the black water, or I guess you could call it sewer components. We talked about that in a previous video, that there's a smell coming from the hull, and it's actually the system. All the pipes in them are just cracked. There's a lot of issues, and I'm not going to fix all that stuff. We're not going to be on the lake for weeks on end. It's one night or two at the most. We're going to install a porta potty style or a cassette style toilet in place of that system. And we're going to show you guys all the guts and pieces that had to come out of that to get that whole system out. Yeah. And then we're going to see, what do you got going on next week?
Ooh, we're taking up the floor. You guys going to see what's underneath that really bad vinyl flooring that the previous people put in.
That's going to be a fun job.
It's going to be. I imagine it's going to be awfully sticky. Yeah, you guys gave some really good suggestions out there, and I debated for a long time. Should we leave it? Should we not? Should we leave it? And then it got to the point where I really don't want water to get trapped underneath there at all. and create mold. That
Yeah.
would be a really, really bad situation. So the flooring is going to come out next. So that's what you guys are going to see next time.
So we have a game plan thus far, and we have a game plan going forward. Make sure you guys tune in on the next yacht video. It's going to be really, really cool. If you're curious what kind of tools we use in the shop to fix cars or yachts, check the Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut, and I appreciate that from you guys. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, really recommend you do that now. The shop is full of really cool cars and more yacht videos to come. Thanks for watching.